Everyone, I'm Miss Greenhill and I'm the literacy coach at Albert Hill Middle School. Let's go Tigers. This week we will be reviewing and learning figurative language. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, once again, sixth grade figurative language with me, Miss Greenhill. This is our first day. We will be together all week. Learning target. So every day we're going to have a learning target. Learning targets are important because we have to have a goal. We need to know where we're going. So today, I will identify and analyze the construction and impact of similes and metaphors. What is figurative language? Figurative language is the use of words beyond their literal meaning to create a special effect. Why do we need it? Figurative language enriches the text and helps the reader visualize what the author is saying. I like to think of figurative language as the something extra that takes something from good to great. For example, think about a hamburger. Hamburgers are okay. If you eat them, you'll get full. It does the job. But quite frankly, a hamburger is boring. What makes a hamburger great? When you add cheese, lettuce, tomato, mustard. I like spicy things, so I like to put some jalapenos on it. That's what makes a hamburger great. That is what authors use. That's why authors use figurative language. They want to make it great. So, for example, let's look at this text message. Dear Mom, I am very hungry. My brother and I are cool, but he's getting on my nerves, and the dog keeps barking. Hurry home. Okay, gets the message across, but let's put some salt and pepper on it and see what we get. Dear Mom, I am so hungry. I can eat a horse. My brother and I are normally like two peas in a pod, but today his voice is driving me crazy. The dog keeps screaming my name. It feels like you left a trillion years ago, so please hurry back. What do you think? Which one sounds better? Number two. All right, so the first type of figurative language that we're going to discuss is a simile. A simile is a figure of speech that compares two unlike things using the words like or as. When you're trying to identify a simile, ask yourself these couple of questions. Are there two things that are being compared? If so, what are they? And what is the author trying to say? Let's look at some examples. Number one, the girl walked as slow as a snail because she was so exhausted. What two things are being compared here? The girl and a snail. How do we know that it's a simile? Because in the comparison, it uses the word as. What is the author trying to say? The author is telling us that the girl walks very, very slowly, as does a snail. Number two, the class acted like busy bees when the teacher walked in the room. What two things are being compared? The class and the bees. How do we know it's a simile? It uses the word like. And what is the author saying? The author is saying that when the teacher walked back in the room, the kids were working very, very hard, like busy bees. Number three, Doug's personality is as sour as a lemon. Here we have to be careful. There are two things being compared, but it's not just Doug. It's Doug's personality being compared to a lemon. What is the author telling us? Lemons are sour when you think about it. Ugh, who wants a lemon? And it has the word as in it, of course, so we know it's a simile. Number four, my backpack was like a ton of bricks. What two things are being compared? Backpack and bricks. A ton of bricks. Uses the word like. What's the author saying? The author is saying, my backpack is really, really heavy. Next, we have a metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech that compares two unlike things without using the words like or as. So similes and metaphors both compare, but metaphors do not use the words like or as. Same things we want to ask ourselves. Are two things being compared? What are they? And what is the author trying to tell us? These examples. Their mom was the rock of the family. What two things are being compared? Mom and rock. Does it have the words like or as in it? No, but two things are being compared, so we know it's a metaphor. What is the author telling us? If you think about a rock, rocks are solid, rocks are sturdy. So the mom was the sturdy, solid part of the family. Number two, the ship was a tiger roaring through the water. What two things are being compared? The ship and a tiger. Does it have the words like or as? No, it doesn't, but we know it's a metaphor because two things are being compared. And what is it telling us? If you think about a tiger, you think about something that is ferocious, that goes fast. So that's how the ship was moving through the water. Number three, my brother is a clown. What two things are being compared? Brother and clown. What is the author telling us? My brother is funny. Number four, Kendra's face was a blank page. Another one where we have to be careful. It's not just Kendra, it's Kendra's face being compared to not just a page, but a blank page. So think about Kendra seeing a ghost, a blank page. It's just there, nothing's on it. All right, so let's look at similes and metaphors in literature. If you were here in RPS in the first 9 weeks, then you read the novel Bud Not Buddy. So let's look at some sentences from there. All the kids watched the woman as she moved along the line. Her high-heeled shoes sounded like little firecrackers going off on the wooden floor. What part of this is figurative language? High-heeled shoes sounding like little firecrackers going off on the wooden floor. We see the word like. That gives us a clue that it's a simile. What things are being compared? The high-heeled shoes. They are being compared to firecrackers going off on the wooden floor. So when I think of that, I think about high heel shoes. When someone is walking, it has this sound, or firecrackers like a crack in the sky. So it was loud and noisy. Her shoes were loud and noisy. The food in this joint ain't the best, but I guarantee after you eat here, you won't be hungry for days. This meal is going to be sitting on your stomach like a rock for a good long time. The underlined portion has the word like in it, so we can identify it as a simile. The two things being compared are a meal and a rock. What is the author saying? When you think about a rock is heavy, it's hard to move, it stays there. So the meal was just going to sit in his stomach and he wouldn't be hungry. You may have started reading the book Dragon Wings. I flew so high that the beach looked just like a strip of blue paper set down beside a pane of green glass that was the sea. This is saying, has the word like, so we can identify it as a simile. When the person was flying high, he was so high in the sky that the beach didn't look like the pretty little water and ocean that we think of, but it looked simply like a blue piece of paper. It was a wonder to watch Miss Whitlaw sail up the block and gather people behind her like a hen collecting her chicks. So, what two things are being compared? Miss Whitlaw and the hen. What is the author saying? When you think about a hen is a mother, so it's getting all its chicks, and that's what Miss Whitlaw was doing, gathering all the people. All right, so let's do some practice. I've done a lot of talking. Now we're going to do some work together. All right, so this says the clock struck midnight and the sky was as black as ink. So the first thing we have to figure out is something being compared? Are two things being compared? Yes, the sky and the ink. Is this a simile or is it a metaphor? It is a simile. How do we know it's a simile? It uses the word as in the comparison. What is the author telling us? The sky was very, very dark. All right, let's look at another example. I like football, and the Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the NFL. First thought, are two things being compared? No, nothing is being compared. Is it a simile or a metaphor? It is not a simile or a metaphor. How do I know? It uses the word like, but nothing is being compared. Oftentimes, similes and metaphors trip students up because they just look for the words like, they just look for the word as, and they just assume, oh, I see those two words. It must be a simile. But just because it has the word like in it doesn't make it a simile. Last one. Jay's nephew is a hurricane on two legs. There are two things being compared, Jay's nephew and a hurricane. Is this sentence a simile or a metaphor? It's a metaphor. How do you know it's a metaphor? There's a comparison, but this sentence does not use like or as. As we said, Jay's nephew and a hurricane are being compared. What is the author saying? Jay's nephew is very fast. Okay, so now you're going to be able to do some practice on your own. You all have probably been on Flocabulary. You get to it by logging into your Clever. I'm just going to walk you through these steps, but you'll be able to do this when we're off. You're going to go to Clever, log in. It will take you to Flocabulary. You're going to click on Lessons, next Language Arts, Reading and Writing. You're going to scroll down to the 7th row, and there will be a video on the left that says Similes and Metaphors. Click on that. Scroll down and look for the quiz on the left side of the screen. Click on the quiz and complete the 10 questions. All right, everybody, that's all for today. See you tomorrow.